Hey everyone, yesterday I uploaded a video on how to create a mask using your sewing machine. Today I'm going to do one with your hands. Hand sewing. I hate hand sewing, but some people don't have sewing machines, and so I'm here to help.
Let's get started. We're going to start with an 8-inch by 14-inch rectangle of fabric, and we've also got two longer strips that are about 1.5 inches wide by 34 to 44 inches. Mine are on the longer side because they were cut from selvage edge to selvage edge. We're going to take all of these and we're going to press them nice and flat, beginning with our 8-inch by 14-inch rectangle. We're going to press that in half so that we get an 8-inch by 7-inch rectangle. Then we're going to take our longer strips and we're going to press them flat, then press them in half so that they're about 3/4 inch wide, and then we're going to press the edges to the center so that we have a very narrow binding that we're going to use to make the ties. Now that we've pressed everything flat, we're going to go over to the table and we're going to pin the right sides, that is the pretty sides, of our 8 by 14 rectangle together so that the 8-inch edges are touching each other. And then we're going to back stitch along that edge, not too far away, not too close to the edge. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to start and poke your needle through one side of the fabric, go up, come back towards yourself, and then go back down through the fabric. And then you're going to go up through the fabric a little further away from the last place it came through, and then come back towards yourself and then go back down. This is going to create a very secure stitch. As you can see, my stitching is not perfectly straight and even. This is because I don't hand sew much, but this is a good skill to have. In a pinch, you can repair things, and as seen here, you can actually make a mask using very basic hand stitching techniques. We're going to go all the way to the very end, and then we're going to knot the thread at the very end, and then turn this whole thing right sides out, and then we're going to press it again, and then mark the pleats on the fabric. Now, I didn't show marking the pleats with the template because that's in the other video that I posted, and I will put the link to that video in the description box of this video so that you can see where you're going to mark, and then you're going to make your pleats and then press them. And then you'll see the pleated and pressed mask here in just a moment. The next step, once you have your mask pressed and pleated, is to baste those raw edges down so that it makes it a whole lot easier for you to attach the bindings. Now, a basting stitch is super easy. You just knot your thread, you poke the needle through the fabric, and just poke it through, bring it out, poke it through, bring it out, all the way to the end, and make sure it stays nice and flat. You don't have to put the stitches too close together. You're just trying to make sure that everything stays put in the meantime. Now we're going to put that binding on. The first thing you're going to do is find the center part of your binding, and then you're going to take that center section and you're going to place it on that middle pleat where it's pinned. Make sure that you've unfolded your binding so that the raw edge is showing, and you're going to place that pretty side of the binding to the pretty side of your mask with the raw edges, that's the cut bits. They're going to be even together. You're going to pin that bit together, and then you're going to backstitch just the mask and the binding bits together so that they're nice and secure. And you're going to backstitch just between the folded over edge and the cut edge of the fabric. So you want to kind of stay in between that area. It's going to be about 1/4 of an inch in width. So if you're close to 1/4 of an inch away from the cut edge of the fabric, you should be fine. Now that you're done stitching the binding to the mask on the short sides, and you've backstitched and you've knotted everything down, you're going to flip that edge over of your binding, and then you're going to pin that down so that it encases that raw edge all the way inside. Once you've pinned that down, you're going to move to the far end of your strings, those tails, and you're going to whip stitch around those tails all the way down to where you meet the mask, and then you're going to stop. To whip stitch, what you're going to do is you're going to take your needle with the knotted thread, and you're going to put the knot on the inside of the binding somewhere and pull your needle through so that you don't see the knot. And then you're just going to go around that folded over edge where the opening is, and you're going to put your needle through both layers of fabric and then bring it around and then stick it back through and then bring it around and then stick it back through and pull your thread through. Now that you've got to the edge of the mask, you're going to basically do the same thing as the whip stitch, but you're going to do it a lot closer together and a lot smaller stitches because you really want this part to be held together firmly. So you're going to go in through the mask, up through the binding, and tiny little stitches as you go. And you're going to go from one end all the way to the other end of it, down that short end, making sure you catch all of the raw edges on the inside. Once that's done, you'll knot your thread and then cut it so that you can get a longer piece of thread to go all the way down the end of the rest of the tie. We've come to the end of the mask. We've knotted our thread, and now we're going to head all the way down to the end of the tie with a whip stitch. It shouldn't take long. You're almost at the end now. Here we are. The finished mask is complete. It only took about 35 or 45 minutes to actually sew it together. It depends on how fast of a hand sewer you are and whether your materials were already pre-cut. But it shouldn't take more than about an hour, even for a somewhat of a beginner sewer, to complete one of these. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like what you see and you want more, please like and subscribe.